Welcome, everyone, to the You Are Worthy Network. It's great to be with you this Wednesday. This year is flying by already. I can't believe that we're almost halfway through January. I was thinking to myself the other day, at what point do you quit saying Happy New Year? I don't think there's a written rule on that. I guess you could say it, until the end of January, though I think people are starting to stop. It's like, is it the 5th? Is it the 10th? Is it the 15th? I don't know. Maybe somebody needs to create a cultural or norm for that. I don't know. But in any event, it's great to be with each of you. This is my first interview this week, and it's great to be with you again. And I think you're going to be super excited to meet my wonderful guest that I met about, maybe a year and a half ago, and we had a wonderful conversation, and I remembered that dialogue, and I said, you know what, Anne is going to be a wonderful guest for you guys to hear from if she's willing to do it in her crazy busy life. And she was more than generous to say yes. And so I'm excited to introduce you to her here in just a second. I just want to remind each one of you, you guys already know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to do it anyway because it's my privilege to get to remind you that you are indeed worthy of love, respect, and success. And I'll even tell you why. Because Jesus went to the cross for you. Without that, nah, we're not so worthy. But because of that, it was a game changer. So be encouraged. Your story's not over yet. I just wanted to tell you I appreciate you. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Anne, and then I'm going to introduce you. You're like, Steve, come on, get on with it. We want to hear from Anne. I get it. I want to hear from Anne too. Anne Visser helps women stop shrinking, step into their voice, and stand unshakable. A certified Maxwell Leadership Coach with over 25 years of experience, she equips women to speak truth, set godly boundaries, and live with fearless faith. As co-founder of For Better Forever and creator of the Boundary Framework, Anne blends prayer, wisdom, and practical tools to spark lasting transformation. Wife of 45 years, mom of five, and Nana to not nine, not 10, but 11 wonderful grandchildren. And believes hope-filled hearts and faith-led action transform ordinary days into a life of joy and purpose. Love it, love it. And it's so good to have you with us. Welcome to the You Are Worthy Network.
Thank you so much, Steve. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. Loved our conversation. We just had another conversation again not too long ago, and I love it every time we meet, Steve. So I'm excited to be here and to share, oh, you know what God downloads on us today.
Yeah, absolutely. That's right. We did have that conversation a few weeks ago, and it was just enriching as it was the first time. But something tells me you have a lot of those because that's who you are. And I wanna get to know you a little bit. I want the viewers to get to know you a little bit. I've learned that as the group has grown, and I'm just so grateful as we're approaching 7,000 people here, and probably in a week or two, that there's people that are eventually going to watch us, not just in the States, but all over the world. So tell us what corner of the world you're coming from.
So I was born and raised in Prince Edward Island, Eastern Canada. And fun fact about Prince Edward Island, we're the smallest province of Canada, and we have the smallest population as well. We are just above Maine, neighbors to Nova Scotia and New Brunswick. And I love this place, and I love the people. The people are gentle, a gentle sort, easygoing. My husband is a potato farmer. He's a retired potato farmer. It's our number one agricultural product is potatoes, and it grows beautifully in our red soil. And if your people have ever been to PEI, we're the land of Anne of Green Gables.
My goodness, wow.
Yes, and tourism is one of our great economic drivers. And 80% of the tourists who come to PEI pass through my little village, Victoria.
Wow, you said something that really caught my attention in that explanation of where you're from, because I don't think this description can be said in the year 2026 about too many places. The people here are gentle.
Yeah.
I would think that I would think we want to keep that on the down low, or as that will not be the smallest province forever. Because if people know where there's other gentle people, they're going to flock there, whether there's a lot of snow or not. That's an incredible way to describe where you live. It really is. So speaking of snow, is there some currently on the ground?
We have a little bit, but not enough. I would love to have more snow. I love to get outside and do some cross-country skiing. I love to be outside. And so it's so much nicer when we have a good amount of snow for that. Um, but it is freezing temperatures. And so hopefully we'll get a little more snow and be able to get outside and enjoy that snow.
Yeah, that's probably not enough for locals to even call anything worthwhile, is it?
Yeah, not enough.
Yeah. So now that your husband is retired, is there new things that you do together or things that you used to do together but not as consistently that you get to do more consistently now? What do you guys like to do?
Oh my goodness. So he's a Dutchman. He's an ambitious Dutchman, so he can't just sit still. So he had to start a new career. And so he's doing carpentry and small carpentry jobs. And that has been so much fun because I've been able to go out on the job with him and do a little bit of support work with him. I'm learning a lot about carpentry. I knew nothing before. So we get to do that together. But, there have been times when our farm, it's a family farm. So our guys are out in the field in the fall and they're digging potatoes, and we're sitting on the couch having coffee. And I'm like, look what we can do now. And so it has been so much fun. Fun note there, Steve. Before he retired, I said to him, honey, just expectations wise, how many hours are you going to work at this new business? And he looked at me and he said, oh, I'm only going to work 40 hours, no more than 40 hours a week. And I said, that's a full-time job, right?
And what's the over under on the 40? Has it been more?
Oh, yeah, sometimes. Some weeks it's more and some weeks it's less. So it's been so much fun. It's been an adjustment because he's in my space. He built this home office for me. By the way, this is his first project, was to rebuild my office. So it's beautiful. It's a lovely spot.
That's
And
wonderful.
yeah, so it's been fun to learn more about him. And I love that about marriage, Steve. It never gets old. There's always something new. When you step into a new
Mm.
place, whether you have a new baby or whether your kids just leave for university or whether you have a new granddaughter in the area. Watched again how that impacted him years ago. But now in this retirement season, there's more to learn about each other. And I love that about marriage.
I love your you guys have been married 45 years?
Yes.
Yeah, what a blessing, and I love your enthusiasm toward it still. That's really refreshing for sure. Yeah, I was
Hey,
saying when you were I'm sorry, you were about to say something.
no,
Sorry.
I was going to say we were sitting on the couch this morning praying together. That's one of our kind of principles or values in life that we start the day together. And we were sitting praying together, and we were holding hands, and I was
Mm,
just twirling the ring on his finger, our wedding ring, his wedding ring. And there was a time when he didn't wear that to work because if it catches on farm machinery, it could tear a finger.
mhm.
And so now he's wearing it. And I was just twirling it around and thinking about that commitment that we made to each other all those years ago and feeling so grateful to be married to this man who loves me and supports me and desires what's best for me, Steve. It's just an incredible privilege to have a marriage like that.
What a testimony. How refreshing after 45 years. I mean, I could see you even get a little emotional talking about it. So, I mean, that is beautiful. Um, I was I was thinking when you were describing, having the coffee and watching the guys pull the potatoes. I'm like, that gives new definition to passive income now. I mean, he worked hard to get to that, but
Yes, he worked hard. Farming is hard. There's a lot of hours.
mm,
It was part of our story and part of what led me to what I do now, in that I felt like a single mom raising our five children alone. And
mm,
we had to walk through that journey to get to this place. And I always say to my couples, when I'm working with couples, I say, don't give up too soon. Because on the other side of hard, there can be good things. If we learn the lessons that God has for us in the middle section, there can be great things on the other side.
absolutely. Yeah, great advice for sure. So tell me a little bit about the kids and the grandkids. Are they um how many of them are close by, or are they all spread out?
We have two in the area. We have two in a neighboring province, and then the others are across Canada and down into the States as well. So we make it a point to get together as often as we can. And so this summer we hosted our kids here in our home. We had 11 grandchildren in our home and
Wow.
all the adults too. And it was just this beautiful chaos that I love. I planned for months. I had food in the freezer and I was ready to go, Steve.
I bet you were on cloud nine that whole time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. A couple years ago, we met in Florida all together. And as I was praying about that Florida trip, I just prayed for renewed connections for grandchildren that don't really know each other because there's too much time in between, and renewed connections for the adults as well. But there was a moment where we were walking down this pier and two grandsons, one from the States and one from here, they were walking together hand in hand. They were 8 years old. And I was like, thank you, Lord. This is the moment. This is what I prayed for, this connection where they had this opportunity to get to know each other again, with fresh eyes and in the ways that they've grown. This was the moment. And I captured that moment on camera. I'm an amateur
Wow.
photographer. And that was just a beautiful moment and a beautiful picture of what I had prayed for and what I had envisioned that God would do for us in that holiday. So that's what happened, and it's beautiful when we get together.
That's sensational. I hope you have that photo framed somewhere in your house.
Yes, absolutely.
That's great. And I want to take you back in time a little bit. Tell us about the Anne, the young lady. You graduated high school. I don't know you well enough to know if I'm presuming that there was college or higher education of some kind. Kind of that 18, 19-year-old young lady, Anne, where the world's all in front of her. What did you want to do?
I'm going to take you back a little further to
Mm,
15,
okay.
because at 15, I was not a reader. I was struggling in school. I started writing notes to a young man, and I wanted a date. And eventually, after many dates and phone calls, he said, I can't date you because you're not a Christian. And I thought, well, what's so great about you anyway? And he proceeded to tell me about his faith. And through many, many conversations, I got to know, and he encouraged me to read my Bible. I remember as a little kid walking home from school, you talk about being worthy. I remember shaking my fist at heaven and saying to God, walking home from Sunday school, why did you make me? I hate this place. I don't want to be here.
Mm.
And at 15, I came to know Jesus Christ as my Savior. And that was the moment that I knew. I just had this moment where I met him, Steve, and I felt him say to me, I made you for a purpose on purpose. And in
Mhm.
that moment, everything changed for me. And I raced home to my bedroom and I opened the Bible again, which this young fella had shared with me to read the Bible. And I hadn't understood what I was reading. It was all Greek to me. But when I opened the Bible after meeting God, it was like the words on the pages were jumping. They were jumping off the page. And I started to understand a little bit more about who God was and who I am to him. And that began my journey to worthiness. I really think it is a journey. And so I did get a date and we actually married. And so at 18, all I wanted to do was get married and have children. And he was going to farm, which is what he did. And so 10 years into our marriage, so we were like crazy in love. Um, People would say, when they would see us driving together in his truck, they would say, I thought it was one person. We were sitting so close together. Like crazy, crazy in love. And then 10 years into our marriage, we were sitting outside of our favorite restaurant, and I said to him, I can't do this anymore. And he looked at me and said, What do you mean you can't do this anymore? And I said, I can't do marriage like this anymore. And we had just grown apart. And I call it now a creeping separateness. It was an emotional distance that we weren't used to. We knew what it was like to love one another. And now we felt so separate from each other. And we rolled up our sleeves to get the help that we needed and applied principles to fall in love again, learned new skills that we didn't have, and we fell in love again. And that started our journey towards, we kind of looked at each other and said, okay, well, if we love Jesus, but we don't like each other, but now we do like each other because we have these new skills, maybe there are other couples out there who don't know how to love each other. Do you hear that noise, Steve? Because my husband is next door doing something
You didn't hear a thing?
with tools.
Zoom has the most incredible noise filters, but I'm sure it's driving you nuts, but I can't hear a thing.
Thank you, Zoom. Okay. So at this point, we started working with other couples, mentoring and partnering with churches, local churches, to host 7 to 9 week marriage courses. We called them Great Dates. We wanted to equip other couples with tools and skills that we had learned so that they could have the love life that they wanted in their marriages. And that just led again to then I could see that, well, some couples, they're just not great together because they're not even a great match. They've chosen, they're not compatible. So I studied with Dr. John Van Epp in a program called How to Avoid Falling for a Jerk and started teaching singles and singles again, um, about relationships and how to choose well. I was able to bring that into it, just led from one thing into another. It led to a teaching in our local jail and a home for addicts, and then youth groups and singles again. And then that led us into the Maxwell work because we wanted more training. How do we coach well? And we were going for mentoring training, but we saw this coaching training with Maxwell. So in 2016, we both went to the Maxwell training for to become more effective coaches, and that was life changing to learn these skills for coaching and to understand the difference between coaching and mentoring. And that was that led us from fee. We were playing for free, and that led us into to a business with For Better Forever. It was before that it was nonprofit. And so it's just a joy to walk alongside people.
I'm so glad you clarified. I was gonna ask you, but you took care of it. Like I was gonna ask you, because all the viewers are gonna be like, "Was that her husband? Was that her husband?" And I had a hunch it was, but I'm glad you clarified that. Beautiful story. It says a lot about your husband too and his convictions, which I really really respect. And you keep using the word "we." So you're talking about you and your husband. I'm trying to gather how in the world, how he had time being a full-time farmer and doing this with you.
Yes, and he did in the evenings. He worked with me. I worked during the day, and then he worked. He'd come in on the evenings, and of course, a lot of people are working anyway, so that worked quite well. People want evening appointments,
Mhm.
and at that time, our local doctor saw what we were doing, and he provided a space for us to meet with couples, which was phenomenal. Uh, and then at some point, he said, "You know what? This is too much for me. I really need to focus on farming and make the farm more viable. And uh, I think you should carry this yourself." That was another pivotal moment for us where I decided to go, for the most part, online. And so before COVID, I was already working full time online. And I love the online work, honestly.
Yeah. So that's an interesting aspect too. So of your business, how much of it would you say is online?
Now, all of it is
Yeah,
online.
all of it's online. Okay.
Hmm.
Fascinating.
Yes. Yeah. All of it is online, and most of it is through referrals. And
Hmm.
many of my clients are local clients, even though it is online.
Yeah, that's good. So let's go back to Maxwell for a second. So you said
Hmm.
that was, well, be 10 years ago this year, right?
Hmm.
Um, I'm a Maxwell member also, and I kind of, for me, I equate it to it's a tool I have in my tool belt that I've not even pulled out yet. That's a whole nother conversation that we're not here for that. But uh, tell us, tell us how. Give us a couple of examples how it's helped you. Even I don't want to answer for you. Tell us how it's helped your business, but also tell us how the community has assisted you.
Hmm. So, first of all, it provided that community of like-minded people, where you come into a space and you just feel like, I belong here. This is where I belong. These are my people.
Yeah.
And locally, that seemed a little bit more difficult to find. And so it provided that community, but not only that, it provided the tools to begin business in the first place. It also provided content that I didn't have. And so I was able to take that content into the jail, into the home for addicts. 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth it's an incredible program for them. They loved it because everything else is focused on addiction for them. And they needed, you can't just look at the problem. We need to look at the solutions too. And this helped them with that internal work that they needed to do that helps them on their journey to sobriety. And so some of those programs that I was able to use within my own sisterhood journey group as well, put your dream to the test, um, developing the leader within you, that content and how John laid out his content as well, that was incredibly helpful for me at a time when I didn't have any content. And I was able to also travel with John in the mentorship program. You have the opportunity to travel with other coaches, and I was able to travel to both Paraguay and Panama. And those were big trips for me to be able to link with other coaches. And some of those relationships, they still remain today that I formed on those trips. And just to be in the room with other coaches who are teaching and training and watch how they do it and learn from them and then partner with them. And it was incredibly invaluable. And from there, I was able to then, written 12 programs since that time, watching how John teaches and watching how he connects. I remember this moment in Paraguay. I was sitting with other coaches in a church as he was presenting how growth happens. And he was working through an interpreter. But as I was sitting, there was a family in front, sitting in front of me. And he was talking about how change happens for a community, for an individual, for a community, and then for a country. How does that country transformation happen? Which is what these trips are all about. And I saw this mom put her arm around her teenage son and pull him a little closer. And I thought, this is the future of this country
Mm,
and for
mm,
this family. And I was just so powerfully moved by John's ability to connect with one, but then to connect with many too. And so to be led by a leader with integrity and who lives what he preaches or what he says is incredibly, like, it's just a tremendous blessing in
yeah,
our world today, Steve.
yeah, yeah. I'm sure those trips were incredible. And you alluded to it, the relationships and some of those folks that you bonded with during that time were lifelong friends for sure, and peers. And so,
Yes.
yeah, very invaluable. I wanna pivot towards what you're doing now. Tell
Mm.
tell us tell us tell us who you serve now and why it gets you up in the morning out of bed.
Mm. So I primarily work with women who are so busy loving everyone else that they've forgotten how to love themselves.
Mm,
And so I help them to find their voice, to set healthy boundaries, and to kind of reclaim the joy that God intended for their lives. And it's really a very personal and internal work that these women are doing. And as they do the work, that transformation that they experience, it ripples out into every corner of their lives. And so I've watched them step really boldly into leadership positions, whether it's children's ministries or divorce care groups or Bible studies or women's circles groups. Their influence, it just ripples out beyond their own families. And I've seen them pursue dreams that once seemed impossible to them. So when
mm,
they first come to me, I would say, do you see yourself as a leader? Because some of these programs are develop the leader within you. But they would say, I'm not a leader. But they go on to launch new businesses or earn promotions or go back to school and advance their education or, thrive in their dream careers. That's really exciting to see. But more than that, they've strengthened their marriages or they've deepened their bonds with their adult children. Because of this internal work, it ripples out. Or they've found the courage to walk away from toxic relationships or toxic marriages. That's exciting to me. I really believe that when change happens inside, within, that every decision, every relationship, every opportunity is touched by that newfound confidence that they find and that they have. And so I do the work because I was made for this work. My top five strengths are positivity and empathy. And that really enables me to sit and listen deeply and to hear what's not being said and
mm,
to help a woman feel heard and seen and valued. And that joy that God has put within me, it enables us to laugh together in a very serious, difficult situation, but it helps to lighten their load and make their journey possible. And so I love this work And I love be sometimes I feel like I'm a fly on the wall, Steve, as a woman has this aha moment and God speaks to her and it changes everything for her. And so it's an absolute joy to walk alongside of the women that I work with. Their faith is inspiring and
Hmm.
it matters deeply to them, and they want it to show in their everyday lives. And they want that expression of their faith to be clear to their families and in the life. They want a legacy. They want to live with purpose and intention. And so it's just a joy to walk alongside of them.
Yeah, I can see that. Um, just to clarify, so at this stage of your career, you're using your content to help them. And if so, can you tell us the name of that?
Sure. So I've written 12 programs, but currently the new program is called the Mindset Reset, Transforming Your Inner Voice. So it's all about self-talk. And it's going to be a 7-week program. The program is written. I'm currently developing the videos. That program is launched on March the 10th.
Oh, so that this is brand new.
This is brand new. Where it's coming
Okay.
down the pipe. I'm working hard on it. It's all written, and now I'm developing the videos for it and getting the emails ready to go out. Um, this is what the program is about. Like we walk around on autopilot, and we let those thoughts kind of lead the show. And that
Yeah.
inner critic can be so loud and so relentless and incredibly unhelpful for getting to where we need to go for the day, and can control more than we want it to, or even more than we realize. And
Mhm.
so this is about getting the inner voice out of the driver's seat and putting you back in the driver's seat. It's about noticing those lies and stories that we tell ourselves and then flipping the script and reframing those thoughts so that we can think in a way that actually builds us up and instead of tearing us down.
I love that. I'm gonna do a little exercise with you.
Sure.
And I know you well enough to know this won't be easy for you. Just hear me out on this. It won't be easy for you because you're so humble. Um, but I want folks to see God's hand in your work is why we're going to do this. Okay. It won't take long. I want you to think of your collective client. If you could take all those wonderful women that you've worked with over the years and kind of mold them down to one client that encompasses all the people you've worked with, okay? And they come to you, I want you to describe in just 3 words how they're feeling before working with you.
Mm.
Take your time. I'm throwing
Yep.
you a curveball.
Yeah. Uh, life is chaotic. That's more than 3 words, but chaos.
Chaotic.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Um, a lack of value. So devalued.
Wow.
Yeah. Devalued. And she might say humble, but she is not valuing herself and not able to make her own choices and decisions. So she's kind of letting everybody else lead. I am wordy.
I'm trying to think what that word would be. Describe it a little more. We want to get this.
She's looking to everyone else to make her decisions and not taking responsibility for her own self because she defers to everyone else. And so
Is
she,
that
go ahead.
So is that hesitant? Is that fear? Is
Fear,
that
full of fear, full of
okay?
fear. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So we have chaos, devalued. I love that word, by the way. I don't like what it represents, but it's a very creative word. Um, chaos, devalued, fear, and then on the other side of working with you, give me three new words for that.
Confident. She has this beautiful confidence to step into new places that she never dreamt would be possible for her. Um, Better communication skills. So, unafraid is another word. Unafraid to step into a difficult conversation because she knows she has the skills to actually communicate how she's feeling and what she wants and where she needs to go.
Is
So
that brave?
unafraid.
Is that
Yes,
courageous?
brave and courageous, all of it. Yes, confident, brave, and courageous. And a leader. Sh-
Uh,
a leader. She grows every one of my women. Not one of them would say that she is not a leader when we're done working together. Some of my women have been with me for since I started.
wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Sometimes an exercise like that, first of all, it is very, very, thank you for doing it with me because it is very to narrow it down to just
Mhm.
6 words total for sure. And the amazing work that you're doing. Um, but it really gets to the heart of the matter in fewer words sometimes.
Mm.
And so to think about this client or group of clients, if you will, goes from chaos to confident, from devalued to leader, from fearful to courageous. First of all, I think you and I, as believers, we definitely see God's hand in that. I say we're a vessel. He always does the heavy lifting. He does the transformational work. But it's also, and I know you wouldn't do it, so I'm doing it for you. It's also a testimony to the work you're doing with them. So thank you for doing that wonderful work.
Mhm. So, Steve, along that line, there's a quote by Rabbi Jason Sobel, and he says something like this: Humility is about taking up the right amount of space. When I take up too much space, I'm prideful. But when I take up the right amount of space, when I don't take up enough space, it's false pride. And that quote has stayed with me. And to what you're saying there, we need to take up the right amount of space.
That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. I love that
That,
quote.
that-
It is stay. And in our marriage, like my husband and I, we talk about the space between us. Some couples need more space, other couples need less space. And in retirement, there's less space because he's home more. And so, in thinking about taking up the right amount of space and not shrinking and not becoming small, but taking up the right amount of space. So, you reminded me of that beautiful quote by Rabbi Jason Sobel. Love it.
that really is beautiful. Um, I'm interested in where folks can find you. We'll put all your links in the show notes. But if people wanted to learn more about you, learn more about how you're helping women, where would they find you?
hmm You can find me on Facebook at Ann Visser. I post there every day. You're going to see some joy, crazy posts there because I love to laugh. Uh, and you can find me on Instagram as well as YouTube. I have the Tuesday Brew with Anne is my YouTube place there, as well as LinkedIn.
Love it, love it. And you've already taken care of this. So we've got the mindset reset March 10th.
hmm
Mark your calendars, guys, March 10th. And I would love it, and if you would provide as we get closer to that, provide me any information, links that I can put in to our interview comment section for those to be able to see. I would love to be able to do that for you.
That's great. I will provide that for you, Steve. Thank you for that. Yeah,
You're very welcome.
yeah.
So Anne, I would like for you, before we sign off, I would love for you to share, if you could just kind of share an encouraging thought or two with our viewers.
Mm, mm. So if I could share one word or a line, it would be wow, because that's what transformation does. Like celebrate the wow. And I saw this firsthand this summer when I took some time off coaching to work alongside my husband in his second career of small construction. We were rebuilding. It was a century-old home, and we were rebuilding the deck. It was a wraparound deck, and it had a cathedral style ceiling, and it was gorgeous.
Mm,
And, as we were working on the siding, I was thinking about the families that had lived there before and the faith that had lived within the home and the family's home. And I was thinking about transformation because my mind goes there. And the moment that the client saw the finished deck, it was priceless. Her
mm,
face lit up and she said, wow. And she was absolutely speechless. And I thought this is what transformation looks like. So just like in construction, growth is hard, change is hard, and transformation can feel slow and messy. That's the way it felt when we were working on this deck. It felt slow and it was messy, and it seemed like it would be impossible to finish until that one day we finished and stepped back. But that's what transformation is. When you step back and you see it all, and you see the new you see the new mindset, you see the new life, and you can say, wow, like I can't believe this is my life and I get to live here. That's what transformation feels like. And stepping into that space that maybe you've prayed for, that you've been working for, that you've been hoping for, and you realize, God, He's been there all along and He's been renovating my heart, my mind, and my relationships. He's been there all along. And so I say, celebrate the wow and walk in it and own it. And remember that you get to live in that beautiful, new, transformed space, that version of your life, and you are worth it.
I love that. Celebrate the wow, walk in it. And as you were explaining the process of that deck, of course, as an analogy for our journey and how we walk, I thought of the quote by the missionary to China, Hudson Taylor. And this was actually a quote along with scripture that I held onto during our long 5 year adoption journey. And it's so simple what he says, but it's so profound. He said, I have found that there are three stages in every great work of God. First, it's impossible. That deck probably looked like it was impossible to restore at the beginning because of the condition it was in. Then it's difficult, right? We can all relate to the middle messy, and then it's done.
Mm,
See, when God's ready, it's done.
mm,
And it is a wow moment when he's done. So I so appreciate you sharing Celebrate the Wow with us.
mm,
Um, and I want to thank you because your warmth, your wisdom, and your sincerity. I'm stopping at three. I could use a lot more, but being consistent with my own exercise have come shining through today. And I'm really, really so grateful that you're my friend. And I'm grateful that you've been our guest. It's been great to have you.
mm. Thank you so much, Steve, for having me on the You Are Worthy Network. It's a pleasure to be here with you today, and it's great to see you again.
Guys, early on, we talked about when Anne was 15. And we talked about that heartbreaking conversation she had with a boyfriend at the time, or someone that she wanted to be her boyfriend, I should say, that later became much more than a boyfriend, fortunately. But she talked about a little bit of the pain. She talked about the wrestling with God, about what's this all about? And isn't there more to this? I don't want to be here. That's honest. And you know what God showed Anne? Her story wasn't over at that point. And look at how much he's done with her life since then. But what about you? What are you going through right now? That's the messy middle. That's difficult, like Hudson Taylor said. There's a beautiful ending to it. There's a beautiful part of the process still to come that you're going to celebrate the wow on the other side. Your story's not over yet. Be encouraged by that. I appreciate each one of you. Be blessed the rest of the day. Until next time, God bless.